so you called.
Oh, no, you're totally fine. We are right now. We are trying to get a thumbnail video made for your company. And it's kind of like a challenge that we're going to run across
Um, okay.
and or I would love to see some professional portrait mode and just take photos, like headshot photos of you in like semi-nude.
Okay.
Yeah, whenever you're like whenever you're like relaxing or spraying your hair or like or anything like that.
Okay.
Yeah, with you even in white lighting, not bright bright lighting, normal lighting, and none of your your face.
Okay.
And yeah, we just need like and you can send me a few selfies of recommendation for yeah, it's not much fun.
It's not much fun. Okay, cool. When do you need these?
As soon as possible if you're able to.
Okay. Um,
Before 10 o'clock.
okay, I'll see what I can do. I'm not showered, so I'm not very expressional looking.
We're gonna need Photoshop.
Or show my clean hair.
Yeah, exactly. Like there you go.
Perfect. Perfect.
Yeah, yeah. Cool. All
Oh,
right.
did you find Desi's croissants? Susie wants to know.
I sent others. I didn't
Okay.
comment on them.
All right. Yes. She asked because they came from France.
Oh, of course.
Yes, it's an actual French croissant. Perfect.
Yeah, I sent them to
All right.
my email.
That's fine. And I forget where I wanted to get to about stuff, so we'll get to that.
Yeah, yeah. I know you like all the
Yep.
cool stuff. Yeah.
All right.
There we go. Cool.
Perfect. All right. I'll work on getting stuff set for you.
Yeah, send me those videos
Uh,
so we can discuss it.
all right.
Cool. Sounds fun.
All right.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
All right. Talk to you soon.
Bye. Came too fast. I'm not ready. I'm still trying to set things up there. Fox XCZ. Fox XCZ. Uh-huh. 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 That's what I said. That's what I said. Boop, 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 boom. Sweet. Did he? Did it? Did it? Did it? Did it? Did it? Mm-hmm. 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 How's that working? All right? Beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful. Hi, Chrissy. All right. I was just talking about how the New Year's going. How's everybody doing? Oh, Chrissy's gone already. Wow, you're quick. I speak and she leaves. Sally Waller. Chrissy's back. You came back. You're back. I was just saying, I was looking at what went on today, and I was talking about Oasis, because we went and saw Oasis earlier summer, and just seeing what's up. Zoe. So just thinking about Oasis, and the band, and they did an interview, and they talked about how definitely maybe their original alt rock British pop album, it might have blown. It really was good. And they said, this is Liam Gallagher, I guess, said that it may not have blown everyone's head off. However, had it not been for one simple trick that made the album even more listenable. I guess in 2017, Liam Gallagher clarified the story and attributed the album's success to a lunatic from Wales called Owen Morris, I guess, who co-produced and mixed the album. I'm going back in your career now, thinking of the things. When you made your first record, it sounded amazing. You had the record all done, and then you listened to it, and it wasn't right. So it kind of sucked, they thought. And so the guy from the record company says that Oasis felt that the energy sort of just didn't match what they were looking for. They wanted something that was more like the Sex Pistols during one of their live shows. But they listened back to the album version of their songs. It sounded really small and weedy. Weedy's the word he used, which I think is very British. A weedy. And which, do you know what I mean? I was like, I don't know what weedy is, but yeah, I can see it's like small and into it. So the brand bought this guy Morris to go give the album some extra special treatment. So I guess he doesn't know when it worked, but he just turned up the sound. He turned it to 11. That's why I found it funny, because you turn it to 11. It's one more than 10. So it's one more than 10. It's 11. So when we're playing in a jukebox in the pubs in England, every time our song came out, it was louder than all the other songs on the jukebox. So it was just about 10 times louder than everything else. When you're streaming or you had a drink, it just blew everyone's head off in the pubs. So they kind of cheated by making it louder. That's how he did it. So you have to think how funny that is, that to go through the album and say it just sounded small and didn't sound loud enough. So just going through, and this guy mixed it and just made it louder. Which I think is hilarious if you think about that. That's you ever watch TV, or you're watching something and the commercial comes on and it's really quiet or it's really loud, and you're just like, ugh. If you could just normalize that. We actually did that. That's something that we did. We had a thing where we normalized all of the songs. Every song had to be normalized. So we would balance them out. It would sort of be like every single song had to go through a filter, and that way it balanced every single song to the same level. We also made sure that we did that with the commercials. That way you didn't have commercials come on that were blasting your head off while you were listening to, that song or whatever. It didn't do that. So we actually worked really hard to make sure that the songs were balanced and that the commercials were balanced and they weren't, blowing your head off because of that. That was a real thing. So if you think about it, it's kind of funny that they did that intentionally. Because we didn't. We didn't do that intentionally. We did it without intention to make sure that that exact thing wouldn't happen. So that's funny. Sparkly rocks. That's like diamond, isn't it? Isn't a sparkly rock a diamond? Just saying, sparkly rocks. So everybody hungover today? Everyone's brain hurting today? Did we all go out and have too much fun last night? Wake up really late this morning, dreading our life choices, thinking that, I swear I'm never doing that again. I know a few people that probably felt like that this morning. They woke up with their brains hurting because they had way too much fun on New Year's Eve. Summer! Oh, summer. And summer's gone. Well, summer wasn't here long enough anyway. Summer's never here long enough. That's the problem, right? Oh, shit. So, yes, brains. Anyone's brains hurting? That's what I'm just wondering, how the brains are feeling today. It's one of those things where, you go out, you get a little crazy, and then your brain... Nostradamus, what's up, man? Good to see you. How's your brain feeling today? Your brain doing all right? Did you go out and have some fun last night? I mean, you were here with me for most nights, so you couldn't have had too much fun. And you're also, of that age where going out and getting shit bagged on a... exactly! Nostradamus, it is, it's me. So yeah, going out on a New Year's Eve and getting shit bagged at your age probably doesn't feel so good, so you probably did not do that last night. I'm just saying, my personal take on that is to not do that anymore. I kind of had to give that up because of the hangovers. They became too unenjoyable for me. I no longer enjoyed the hangovers anymore. Not that I enjoyed them in the first place, but they just became, what do I want to say, a distraction. Yeah, I went to bed, right. Yeah, exactly. They become a distraction, the whole hangover thing. No longer enjoyable or entertaining, to say the very least. So I feel that. I feel your pain, brother. I do. But that's the way it works. We all figure that out at some point in our life, right? I was just talking about, and I'll start it up again. I'll I'll grab the YouTube crowd here in about 3 minutes, and I'll talk about it again. But I was just talking about Oasis. I was reading an interview from Oasis, and they talked about their first album and how their first album, when it came out, that they just thought it was small and weedy. It didn't really work for them the way it was, and so they talked to this producer, and he was able to basically push the loud button. So it said they invented some sort of process by which you could double the sound and not have any distortion. So that's what Liam Gallagher wanted it from Oasis. Alex, what's up? There's too many idiots out there saying, yeah, oh, right, exactly. Way too many idiots. I know. That's what's up. What's up, Alex? What's up, brother? There you are. So I'll tell that story in a second. But yeah, that was something. So we had to normalize that all the time. Music, commercials, all that stuff. What's up? Just getting underway. Just getting ready to get started here. I usually wait a few minutes on TikTok to let people come in a little bit. And then I jump onto YouTube at 11 o'clock sharp, typically. And then I kind of get started, talk about the music stuff that goes on, that went on, the history and stuff. And then I always find some anecdotal stories to involve the radio station and my personal life. That's how that works. I tried to work on, I got suggestions that I had to fix my camera to make it not turn off, but it didn't work because that setting doesn't exist on my camera, I found out. So I was like, well, shit, that just sucks. So I don't know what the fuck that means. So I have to go back and try it again and see if I can figure out what the hell the problem is. It's just one of those things, Nothing's ever easy. That's how that works. If stuff was easy, then, we'd all do it, right? Is that how that work? We'd all just do it if it was easy? I mean, Too easy anyway. The last song, The Buggles, Video Killed the Radio Star. So, video killed the radio star. Fucking MTV. How sad that is, though. Right? All right, hold on. Let me turn YouTube on. All right, here I come. Come on. Hang on. We're getting there. And we're live. There we go. We are live. January the 1st, 1/1/26. Welcome to the even years, ladies and gentlemen. We are out of the odd year for a minute. Thank God. I'm happy that we're out of the odd year. Let's get the even year going and maybe not be so shitty. Yes, 2025 was shitty for me, so I'm not gonna lie. It wasn't really horrible about it. Tori De Prospero. What's up, Tori? Yes, I think so. Yes, video killed the radio star. So I'm just I'm looking forward to an interesting 2026. I've got one of those day calendars, the little square ones, and it's the unfuck yourself calendar. So today's thing, I should probably read each one, but today was basically like, it's your life. It's right here, right now. It's like, so what the fuck are you going to do about it? You're going to keep doing the same shit you always did? Or you're going to change it and actually make a difference in your life? I was like, well, I have changed it. I've drastically changed my life. I'm not sure how much more drastic I can change my life to be perfectly honest. The last 2 years, I've completely upended my existence. So yeah, I've completely changed. The total existence has been absolute and complete. So I don't know. We'll see. So I'll see about what that means to unfuck myself. We'll have to see what other suggestions it has throughout the year. If it has anything that's exciting. But anyway, so I was talking about, so I'll go back and I'll start with my first little story that I was talking about is Oasis. So the debut album of Definitely Maybe, by Oasis, this alt-rock Brit-pop, record, it may not have blown everyone's head off, but it was, it was a really good album. And, it really worked. And it's funny. So Liam Gallagher talked about it in 2017 of what they did and the album's success they attribute to some lunatic from Wales called Owen Morris. Okay. So I guess he was a co-producer and he mixed the album. And I guess so what happened is that Liam Gallagher listened to the whole album. And after they listened to it, him and his brother, they listened to the whole album, and they said that they wanted it to embody the energy of like the Sex Pistols during their live shows. But when they listened to the album version of their songs, it sounded really small and weedy. Weedy. I was like, all right, I could see that. Kind of weak and wimpy. So the band brought in this guy named Morris to give this album some extra special treatment. Now, apparently this guy that he figured out how to make a band sound louder. And Liam said he didn't know how it worked, but he turned it up. He just turned up the sound. There's lots of people going on about stuff of how you can do that. Do this, do that, do this, do that. That there's this loud button. Someone said they invented some sort of process by which they could double the sound and not have any distortion. So Gallagher basically said, yeah, that's right. So when we were playing it in a jukebox in the pubs in England, every time our song came on, it was louder than the other songs on the jukebox. So it was just about 10 times louder than everybody else. And, when you're streaming and you've had a drink, it just blew one's head off in the pubs. So I found that to be interesting because we intentionally did exactly that with the radio station, with the music and with commercials specifically. So commercials a lot of times are going to come in pre-produced. So when you get a pre-produced commercial that comes in the door, we normalize it. We called it normalizing it, because basically, yeah, exactly. We compressed it and basically we normalized the sound. So basically, you wouldn't have these highs and lows. And that was sort of what we needed to do. That way, when you were listening, when the DJ was talking, they talked at this level. When the commercial came on, it was at this level. When the music came on, it was at this level. And it didn't matter if the music came in and it was recorded high or recorded low. Either we would boost it or we would lower it, especially commercials. I mean, if you listen to watch TV or you watch on the internet, sometimes you'll notice that that's exactly what happens. The commercials come on a lot louder, and they're annoying. So so we specifically made sure that everything was normalized, as we would put it, normalized. So, and it was equalized. So yeah, if we had to compress it, we would compress it. And if we had to expand it, we expanded it, just to make sure that you didn't have those highs and lows. Because again, it's annoying as hell if you're listening to, any type of thing to hear it and have it jump and go louder, soft, louder, soft. So that's what we didn't wind up doing. So yeah, I just found it interesting that Gallagher talked about how they did that on purpose, which makes perfect sense, right? You want to stand out, so if you compress the shit of it without changing and distorting it, when your song comes on, it's louder. People are going to hear it. It's going to stick out a little bit more inside a pub, especially, or wherever you're at. So you got to appreciate that. So it's a beautiful thing. We'll jump back into the music and history stuff. So in 1953, this is what's crazy to me if you think about it. 53, 63, 73. I mean, what? That's like 70 years ago, okay? 73 years ago? 73 years ago, American singer Hank Williams and musician Hank Williams, the original, died of a heart attack. Okay? 73 years ago, and he's still regarded as one of the most important country musics of all time. Hank Williams. And apparently he also, I wasn't aware that he died at the age of 29. So he didn't even become like the old dude legend. He was 29. He died of a heart attack brought on by a lethal mix of cocktails and pills. His last years, he consumed alcohol, morphine, and painkillers at an Elvis Presley rate, apparently. He was so compromising his professional life. So, he basically partied himself to death at 29, which is pretty interesting. Because, again, I didn't realize that Hank Williams died so young. I mean, 29 is young, okay? That's young as hell to die. But yes, he basically, again, was regarded as one of the most important country music stars of all time. Still is. 35 of his singles, 5 released after he died posthumously, were placed in the top 10 on Billboard's country and Western bestsellers. Number 1, including Cold, Cold Heart, Hey Good Looking, I'll Never Get Out of the World Alive, Your Cheating Heart. I mean, a lot of stuff, which is kind of crazy, again, if you think about it, that he did this, in his early 20s, and then he had, songs released after he died. 5 of them. 5 top songs after he died, which is kind of crazy. So yeah, Hank Williams, that's kind of nuts. I didn't realize that. Something with live music sounds. Yeah. Front of the house. Use compressors, to brick through the music. Yep, pretty much. We used everything. There was all sorts of stuff. I have so many pieces of equipment. It's not even funny. Did everything to the music, man. We beat it up. We turned MP3s into wave and wave into MP3s and tried to add music, and you'd be surprised how much gets cut out when you listen. The difference when you listen from an actual vinyl, the expansion to it, something that's a little MP3. It's kind of crazy. Now, this is kind of funny, but sad at the same time. In 1956, Bill Haley and the Comets, Rock Around the Clock, went to number 1 on the UK singles chart for the second time. It's often cited as the biggest selling vinyl rock and roll single of all time, with sales over 25 million. 1956, okay? In 2005, okay, 50 years later, in 2005, in most of Europe, copyright expired in a number of classic pop and rock and roll songs recorded in 1954, including Bill Haley's Rock Around the Clock and Only You by the Platters. So there was only a 50-year moratorium on when music could be copywritten in Europe. So songs that are made in the 50s like that no longer are in copyright. So they're out. So I don't know if they've been re-copywritten or whatever, but I know that there was a law, that Sonny Bono law, as one of the things Sonny Bono, who have Sonny and Cher, actually got through Congress when he was a California congressman, that did exactly that, that extended it to like the life of the artist plus 75 years or something like that, so that that wouldn't happen anymore to artists. 'Cause it's kind of crazy if you think about it. It really is. That these artists that, if you did it in 50 years, when you're in your 20s, you could still be around and your songs could be out of copyright. So just kind of interesting to think about that. At least I think so anyway. I could be crazy. I mean, I know I'm crazy, but... all right. So this is kind of interesting. In 1957, BBC TV aired a new rock and roll show called Cool for Cats. Now, I'm wondering, of course, did Squeeze get their song from that? Cool for Cats. Basically, it aired for the first time. Cool for Cats. It had a minuscule budget. The program was forced to rely on artist miming and the talents of a resident dance group. Karen Robinson, the first show host, was succeeded after a few weeks by Kent Walton, better known for his ITV wrestling commentaries. I love that they just go ahead and put a TV show on a minuscule budget. Minuscule. Like, let's just go ahead and put this TV show on that we know is doomed to fail because we're not going to fund it properly. I think that's a great idea. Brilliant. I mean, sure. Let's go ahead and do that and make sure that it can't be funded properly. Oh, shit. That's funny. Sorry. I just always amuses me when people do shit like that. Oh, today, January 1st, is the day that Johnny Cash played his free concert for the inmates of San Quentin Prison in California. One of the audience members was a 19-year-old Merle Haggard, who was in the midst of a 15-year sentence for grand theft auto and armed robbery. 1959. This is when he did his San Quentin show. Interesting. Good old Johnny Cash doing it for the prisoners. How about the fire at one of those storage facilities that destroyed? Oh, yeah, I know. Right? That's kind of sad and fucked up. Happens, man. Would you want to be this guy? The Beatles auditioned for Decca Records in West Hampstead, London today, January 1st. A&R boss at Decca, Dick Rowe, okay? Dick Rowe, that's his name, turned down the Beatles, which is considered one of the biggest mistakes in music industry history. Decca decided to reject the band, selecting instead Brian Poole and the Tremolos. Who the fuck is that? Right. So I don't know. If you're Dick Rowe, does that haunt you every day of your life for the rest of it? I mean, there's decisions we make that impact us in a way that we may never know. But yeah, that's one that you definitely know. All right, in addition to band, the Beatles, man. These guys, I don't know. I don't think they have it. I passed on them. I think they sucked. I mean, all right. Within 8 years, you passed on them in 1962. So within like 2 years, they were the biggest band on the planet. So you didn't have a long time to wait to have that karmic retribution of like, hey, Dick, what's up, man? How you feeling? Feeling good about that decision? I wouldn't want to be Dick Rowe. I just would not want to be that. That just sounds like that would be the bad one. January 1st, 1964, the first edition of the BBC TV show Top of the Pops was transmitted from an old church hall in Manchester, England. Acts miming their latest releases included the Rolling Stones, I Want to Be Your Man, The Dave Clark Five, Glad All Over. The Hollies. The Swinging Blue Jeans doing the Hippie Hippie Shake. The first song was played was Dusty Springfield, I Only Want to Be With You. And it also featured on disc and film The Beatles, I Want to Hold Your Hand, Freddie and the Dreamers, Cliff Richard and the Shadows, and Gene Pitney. So miming. I love what they say. They so call it miming, not lip syncing, miming. That's interesting that they call it that. Miming. You know. January 1st, 1966, Simon & Garfunkel started a 2-week run in #1. Damn it. I thought I fixed that. Apparently, I did not. I tried to get that camera fixed. I got suggested of how to fix it, and I don't have that setting I found out. So the setting that I was trying to find to get that camera to stop turning off, I don't have. So I don't have that setting on my camera. So unfortunately, it's still going to turn the fuck off. Oh, man. What are you going to do? As I was saying, January 1st, Simon & Garfunkel started a 2-week run at #1 on the U.S. chart with The Sounds of Silence. With the sounds of silence. I like that song. It's actually a good song. I mean, I give bands shit sometimes because, you know, I can sit here in the comfort of my, you know, tiny studio here and not have to do anything, but I can make judgments over bands, and that's all right. Speaking of lip syncing, the Doors made their first live television debut, lip syncing their first single, Break On Through, on She Bang, KTLA TV, Channel 5 in Los Angeles. The single peaked at 126. Think about that. Only 126 on the U.S. chart, mainly due to the lack of airplay after censors objected to the implied use of drugs with the song's lyrics, She Gets High, which is repeated in the middle section of the song. Now remember, that was at the Ed Sullivan Theater. He also said to change those lyrics, and Jim Morrison was like, yeah, we'll change those lyrics. We'll do it. Miss you guys. Happy to find you here. Hi, Michaela. How are you, Michaela? Nice to see you. Love you. Promise. Big heart. Here you go from Michaela. Look her up. Big heart. Big smiley face. Yay. And big heart. So that's again, you know, you've got to enjoy the fact that the Doors, once again, Jim Morrison basically telling the man, fuck off. But yeah, so they only went to 126, which is interesting. Richie, sup, Bob Burt. Everyone doing all right? Anybody hung over today? I want to know if anybody's hung over, still feeling the after effects of their too much New Year's Eve-ing. You know, I stayed up way too late. I don't think I went to bed actually till like 4 o'clock in the morning, because I did wind up staying up. I watched a little TV. I wished some friends Happy New Year in California, so I wanted to stay up and do that. And I played a little bit of Population 1, which I'm going to try and figure out how I can show the streaming of that. I have an Oculus headset that I wear, which is kind of crazy. It's a really old one, so it's not great, but it's fun as shit, man. You know, nothing like killing small children, because sometimes late at night it's these kids that are like screaming, and I was like, oh, great. I was like, yeah, don't worry, I'll kill you playing. Yes, that's good. All right, well, good. Glad you got to sleep that off. I definitely, I know a couple people that are in my small circle that definitely were feeling some pain this morning. That happens. It happens, you know. In 1968, Billboard magazine reported for the first time that albums had outsold singles in the United States, with album sales reaching over 192 million units. So that's where it was. That's when it started to change for music. Albums overtaking singles in 1968. I'm wondering when it went back to the other way, you know. So the Beatles were #1 with the Obladi Oblada song of the White Album on the say. And The Clash The Clash played the opening night at punk's first real venue, the Roxy in London today in 1977. January 1st, 1977. The Clash played that. Ticket prices, 1977. Genesis played for the first of 3 nights in their new look Rainbow Theatre in London. Tickets cost $4.25. The theater had been completely renovated at a cost of $136,000. Oh, come on. Really? A theater renovated $136,000 in 1977. 87, 97, 2007, 2006. So, yeah. So 50 years later, to renovate that thing, that would probably be $1.5 million. I mean, I can imagine it would be less than that. The amount of money that it costs to renovate stuff. I mean, I know that the big room, to just renovate the big room, was over $150,000 to get the big room up to par to become a music venue for 200 people. That took me 6 months and, a couple $100,000 to get that, including a liquor license and sound equipment and, all the things that had to come along with getting that. So, yeah, hundreds. Wow. You got to love that one. I didn't realize this one either. ABBA made their final live appearance January 1st, 1982 as a group when they played in Stockholm, Sweden. They scored 9 number one singles and 10 number one albums, becoming the most successful Swedish act of all time on official charts. But again, they ended in 1982. And so what? Mamma Mia and all this stuff has been cranked out for like decades now. Decades. 40 years, which is crazy. I didn't realize that they stopped playing in, 1982. ABBA. I had no idea. I mean, don't get me wrong. ABBA's a great band, but that's just so weird that it's just not knowing sometimes that bands, start and end at certain times. It's kind of funny. Nirvana got signed today in 1989. They signed a 1-year recording deal with Sub Pop Records. The Seattle-based label wasn't always a record label either. It actually started as a fanzine called Subterranean Pop. And in the early 80s, it also signed Soundgarden and Mudhoney. Sub Pop Records, we met those guys, and they were really just kind of like, yeah, man, we were just like, they were doing like, grunge music stuff as a fanzine. And then decided they were going to do a record label. It was funny. Right. Right. I mean, isn't that crazy? Yes, the big room. Oh, I know. Trust me. It was a lot of work, but it was a lot of fun. Nothing like owning a music venue. That was something. I did that for 10 years. Owning a music venue, I never thought that was going to be on the list of things that I never thought I would own in my lifetime was a music venue. I would do it again. I don't know what I would change though. It was interesting. It did shift as there was definitely a huge seed change in music venue ownership, and I really attribute it to weed. To be perfectly honest, I came up with this expression that a couple of people really dug. That basically the idea to me was that. I didn't take a percentage cut of bands' merch. A lot of venues take a 20% merchandise cut. That's true. Rambling House has become but that's they're not really. I don't know what's going on with Rambling House, right? Aren't they changing it? They're going to be something different. But I mean, I never took a percentage from bands when it came to their merch, and a lot of venues will take up to 20%. Which is a big cut for bands, especially small bands. I mean, because, look, what they want to do is make money. That's why they're out doing shows. Because a lot of times ticket sales don't cut it. They don't make a lot of money from ticket sales. So I didn't even take a percentage of ticket sales. I did a ticket fee, but didn't take a percentage of sales from the band for the most part. What I did was, and what I realized was that what you lose at the door, you make on the floor. Basically meaning if you sell enough alcohol, it covers your expenses and you make your money for the night where you don't have to gouge the band. Right. We book artists for Zuki Infection each year and confirm prices have gone up so much since COVID. I know. It's crazy. So I always said that when you lose at the door, you make on the floor. So not charging the bands because then they'd be happy to play and you got a good rep with bands. I got underplays. When you got bands that would come in and do shows because they knew that they'd get a good deal. You treat them fairly. You didn't take the money that they needed to be able to tour and do their shit. But then as weed started to become more and more prevalent, you started to see people drinking less, especially younger kids. So I had to look at, only getting bands that booked an older audience. So heavy metal bands were great because heavy metal bands like to party. They like to drink and they would, buy booze and buy liquor. But when you had, sometimes, you can make that up with a lot of alcohol, but unfortunately not quite enough. Depends on the genre. A lot. It does. It absolutely does. There it was right there, the genre. So, the alt pop stuff that got younger audience didn't work. So I had to really rely on booking older music type sound. So heavy metal worked really well, and like classic rock. Classic rock worked really well. Country, I couldn't do country. I just couldn't do the country. That was the thing, though. The country music, the audience usually was a little more akin to barroom brawling. I found that was something that became just a little bit. I found that it very quickly that that was I didn't dig the country audience for that. But yeah, always older rock was the way to go because that was what we had to use. And that's who worked the best. The older rock and roll worked really well, especially heavy metal too. Because again, they used to drink a lot, drink liquor, have fun, stay for the whole show. Because sometimes, again, the younger audience bands, they'd only come for if there was like a 3-band bill, they would leave after the band they came to see played. If they played early, they didn't stay for bands they didn't know. So they didn't really explore new music, which kind of sucked if you think about it. Rock is cheaper and drinks a lot. Yeah. I mean, so yeah, for sure. It was definitely an interesting thing. This I found to be funny. In 1990, a radio station in Florida, WKRL Florida, played the Led Zeppelin track Stairway to Heaven for 24 hours as a prelude to all Zeppelin format. I'm sure that didn't last long. I didn't look at how long that lasted for, but I'm betting the format did not last at all. It just doesn't. You can't do stunty things like that on radio and make it work. I do want a registration at the shows and difference in genre audience also the biggest fan factor. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Difference in genre audience. Yeah, absolutely. You are without a doubt correct on that one. It's definitely, audience makeup really, really changed how I think venues book. Because if you think about, like Promo West. Okay, Promo West used to be a local owned venue. That was, here Columbus. Now it's owned by AEG. Okay, so they're like the second largest. You've got iHeartMedia, which is, Clear Channel, which is Live Nation, and then you've got AEG. So AEG now owns that. So they do economy of scale when it comes to beer buying and everything else. But you've got to think that they have to charge exorbitant amounts of pricing and take a huge percentage from the bands because of the fact that they've got such a high overhead. For a venue like that, I always think about, if you have, just simple math, you do the mathing, all right? $50 ticket, okay? Let's say it's a $50 ticket. And you have 1,000 people, okay? So you add an extra zero, it's $50,000, right? $50, 1,000 people, 50,000, okay? So now you've got to pay the band. Now the band, depending on the size of the band, if you're charging $50, they're going to be a band that's probably going to, get a pretty good percentage of that. But then you've got to have how much is the overhead for all of the different people that work there, because again, it's a big machine. There's a lot of people that are working security, everything else. Right. Yeah. The old Decibel Club card. Right. Think about that. That thing. And there was loopholes in the Decibel Club card too, because you could reuse it and just buy another one so you could use it to cut in the front of the line over and over again for an extra like $10. And they know, and they figured that out, and they didn't care because people would do that and buy those over and over again. But the problem is that, right, there's so much overhead now because you have to pay so many people to work in these venues. And if their alcohol consumption is down, there's where the problem is. So a lot of these bands, their audience doesn't drink like they used to. So you're not seeing that happen. And then the other problem is that you think about it now, if you're paying what, $100 for a ticket, okay? How many shows can you realistically go to? Because that's a lot. That's a lot of money to be expending for a concert. By the time you drive, you got to park. So that's going to be what, $20? So you get 120. If you have a couple of drinks, I mean, what's a drink? $15 for a fucking beer? 2 beers is $30. So you're at $150 just to go out for one night to see one show, which becomes, I don't know, for me, that was problematic. That's a lot of money. Yeah. It sucks to think that how reliant on the music scene is on alcohol consumption, but that's sex, drugs, and rock and roll. Sex and drugs and rock and roll. I mean, it's sort of what I grew up on. You drink, you go to the shows. That was what it was. And, as the alcohol got more and more expensive, you had to drink less. And at the band's management, when you've got these venues, they can't rely on that as this secondary income stream, which they do. They absolutely do rely on that as a income stream. Then they have to charge more. So now when you charge more, well, then you've got a problem. Because, again, we have to be very selective in the concerts we go to. Because, again, think about spending $200 on a single night. Depending, you can think about how much money that is. If you're making $1,000 a week, all right, 20% of your week was on one show. Whew, that's a $50,000 a year job. That's 20% if you go to one show in 1 week. That's a lot. That's a lot to muster. Anyway, I will get off my high horse of expensive ticket prices. Oh, January 1st, 2002, Eric Clapton married his 25-year-old Malia McInerney, the mother of his baby daughter, at a secret ceremony of the 15th century St. Mary Magdalene Church in Ripley, Surrey, England. Where's she from? Does anybody know where that 25-year-old's from? Yep. If you know, you know. Eric Clapton. So how old was Eric Clapton in 2002, I wonder? I forgot to look that up. But yes, he was not a young man marrying a 25-year-old. And I believe, yeah, he was one of the most disappointing shows I've ever been to. Oh, well, was that recently or is that a while ago? Because long ago he was fine. Now I think he's just doing it for the money, And also his 25-year-old, she was from Columbus, Ohio. Because he used to live here in Columbus, Eric Clapton, because of his 25-year-old that he got pregnant and then became his baby mama. What are you going to do, right? In 2007, Queen beat the Beatles to be crowned the greatest British band of all time by BBC Radio 2. Listeners in the UK, they basically said that the Fab Four in live concerts, trouncing other finalists like the Rolling Stones and Oasis. The band was judged on songwriting, lyrics, live performance, original, and showmanship. More than 20,000 listeners voted by email, text, and phone, and the Queen still came out on top. Oh, I expected that to be great. It was made for, yeah. Yeah, Clapton isn't so great these days. I'd say in 2021, yeah, he definitely slow hand. He's definitely slowed his hand a little bit. So not as good as it used to be, unfortunately. That's the way it works. In 2008, the British Phonographic Industry, remember we talked about this, the BPI, reported that the number of music downloads sold in the UK in the final week of 2007 was double the total of 12 months earlier. In total, there was 2.95 million downloads in 7 days, the highest ever recorded for any weekly period. And when the whole of the year was taken into account, 77 million downloads were sold in the UK in 2007. I'd love to know what it is today, because I'm sure it's more than that by a long shot. Many, many, many. Okay, so in 2009, official UK sales, Duffy debut Rockefeller or Rock Ferry came in the top of the year and chart with 1.65 million copies sold. Take That had the second biggest seller with The Circus. Kings of Leon, Only by the Night, was third. Spirit by Leona Lewis was fourth. And Coldplay had the fifth biggest seller with Viva la Viva. X Factor winner Alexandra Burke had the UK's top-selling single, with her version of Hallelujah selling 800,000 copies in the last 2 weeks of the year. Huh. Interesting. I don't know who the fuck Duffy is. Now, see, I've never seen or witnessed this, but every time I report on one of these, I'm always like, oh. In 2011, Chuck Berry cut short a concert at Congress Theater in Chicago after collapsing on stage an hour into the show. Chuck Berry slumped over a keyboard and did not move for a couple of minutes before being helped off the stage. A couple of minutes? The fuck? If you're slumping over on the keyboard, someone needs to get their shit out there and like check on him immediately. That's crazy. He returned 15 minutes later, only to be forced off almost immediately. The 84-year-old at the time later reemerged on stage but told fans he had no strength to continue performing. Come on. Like, at 84, you got to give the man a break. And I don't think, Chuck Berry, you shouldn't be on stage at 84. And if you're slumping over a keyboard, why the fuck was someone waiting minutes? You got to be like, get on that, man. That's, Yeah, what are you trying to listen to, Michaela? Is this streamed anywhere else? Got to head to work, but would love to listen regularly. Again, well, I do this every night at 11 o'clock. So at 11 o'clock, I'm always here. Where are you going to work at 11 o'clock anyway on a Friday night? Seriously, where are you going to work at 11 o'clock at night? I want to know that one. You think he was just slammed on the same notes for multiple minutes, right? I don't know. So wait, you're going to work though. But where the hell are you going to work at 11:30 at night on a Friday night? That's way too late to be going to work. Yeah, I do this every night at 11 o'clock. And I think the lives stay up for 30 days. So you can always find them the next day. You can just go to TikTok and go stream them later. Because, yeah, I think they exist for 30 days. They keep them around for at least a short period of time. I don't know for how much longer after that, but, I know they keep them for a little bit of time. Yeah, I'm not sure, but it's Thursday. I guess it is Thursday. All right, Children's Hospital third shift, baby. Nice. Okay, so the whole nurse thing. Oh, man. I was an EMT. I was a medic. I drove an ambulance for 2 years, so I have a warm spot in my heart for nurses and others who do that. All right, well, I'll see you. Bye, Michaela. Have fun tonight. Try not to have too much stuff to deal with. Ugh, man. You have a strong constitution to be doing that. I'm just telling you. Much love. Much love. Let's see. Died. Wow, man. It's like I'm just going through this whole thing of people that died here. Found dead. Wow, man. See, that's what happens. Okay, so 2025. It was reported the UK spent more on recorded music in 2024 than ever before. Streaming subscriptions and vinyl sales had shot up, with consumers spending a total of $3 billion over the last 12 months. This overtook the previous high of $2.8 billion achieved at the peak of CD sales in 2001. The biggest selling album of the year? Come on, who would it be? We all know. I don't have to spell it out, do I? You know who it is. Taylor Swift. Tortured Poets Department sold 780,000 copies. Noah Khan had the year's biggest single with Stick Season, which generated the equivalent of 1.99 million sales. Which, oddly enough, whose birthday is it today? It's Noah Khan's birthday. That's right. Noah Khan is 29 today, born on January the 1st. We got to meet Noah. He came into the station a couple times. Really nice guy. Really, really nice guy. There's definitely artists that are, like Oliver Tree. Okay, Oliver Tree. You know who he is. He puts on this persona of being a jackass, right? When we met him, he was anything but that. He was absolutely so kind. He was late because he overslept and he came in. So he bought everybody at the show a drink out of his own pocket. He's like, yeah, I'll just get everybody a drink. I was like, really? He goes, yeah. He goes, 'cause I'm late. I made people wait. So I was like, that's awesome. So yes, so Noah Khan, same way. Super genuine, super nice guy. I guess growing up in rural Vermont, that kind of did that. But yeah, sometimes artists are definitely not what you perceive. And sometimes they're more than what you perceive in the good side. It doesn't have to be in the bad way, which is nice, which is really, really great that sometimes, artists really surprise you because they're really, really cool. When I worked at a music venue long time ago, one of my first jobs in the music industry, I worked at a music venue, and my interview was the most insane interview I've ever had for any job in my entire life. There was a sign posted on the door that says "Help Wanted." So in the middle of the afternoon, I strolled into this music venue, and I'm walking down, I'm like, hello. And some big bald guy comes out of nowhere, and he's like, what are you doing here? And I'm like, yeah, I'm here. I saw the sign on the door. It said "Help Wanted." The door was open, and he gets right in my face. I mean, I'm 6'2" and I'm over 200 pounds. I'm like 6'2", 215. Sometimes on a good day. So I'm not exactly a slacker when it comes to size, and and this guy's right in my face. He's my size, maybe a little bigger, bald guy, and he's just yelling at me, like, "What are you doing?" I'm just like, "What?" I'm like, "Bro," I'm like, take a step back. And he's like, "Can you handle yourself?" And I'm like, "What?" He takes half a step forward. He's, "Can you handle yourself?" I said, "Dude, get the fuck out of my face or we're going to have a real problem." He goes, "Oh, cool. My name's Terry. You're hired. You start tonight." And I was like, "What?" And I was like, "Seriously?" He was like, "Yeah, I just want to see if you're reactionary, because, we want people that can handle themselves, but which is exactly right. But I don't need you to be starting a fight because you're going to have to deal with, patrons." And I was like, "Okay." I was like, that was the weirdest job interview ever. So I worked backstage, and I worked the stage, the pit. And some artists, because I got to meet the artists backstage, like I said, my first foray into the music industry. And some artists were not super great. And I will throw under the bus George Thorogood. I'll never forget George Thorogood. We were not allowed to look at George Thorogood when he came out of his dressing room. We could not make eye contact with him. So we had to turn our backs. I shit you not. You had to turn your back as he walked by. I was like, "Are you fucking kidding me?" I'm like, "Dude, come on, really?" I was like, "Really? What? Are you kidding me?" I was like, "Yeah." It's like, "Yeah, you do." It's like, I was like, "All right." I was like, "Look, if that's what we have to do, I'm not gonna bust balls, but that's we had to do." So I just found that to be amusing. The band LA Guns. there was such a huge crowd waiting for them after one of the shows that I had to escort each one of them from the stage door to their bus because they were like, ah! There were these teeny little guys that were all, little skinny metal guys. And they were just getting mobbed by the crowd. So we had to like get, bouncers. We all had to escort these guys out to get them back to the bus safely because they're getting mobbed by a crowd. It was really funny. They're really nice, but they were just like, you've got to save us. Which is funny, which is really funny if you think about that. So Noah Khan's birthday today. Also, Joe McDonald of basically Country Joe and the Fish. He would have been 84 today, or he is 84 today. Country Joe McDonald, the Fish. And then Vern Troyer. Now, Vern Troyer, I'm going to bring it so I can have it here. I have a funny story about Vern Troyer. So there was a Comic-Con happening, and we were promoting it. And so we got to meet some of the comic people. So we got to sort of do this preview of, the artists that were doing the stuff for Comic-Con. And one of them was Vern Troyer, of all people. Okay? So Vern Troyer, mini-me, if you remember, okay? In real life, he was an ass. He was just like, like very demanding, and which was kind of funny. It was kind of funny. I definitely laughed a lot. But he was tiny. He was so fucking small in real life. So much so that I needed to document it. I needed to document something. Somehow I had to figure out how to do this. So I ran into the back room and I found a 2x4. Shit you not. And I said, hey, this is the Rockstar stick. It's just a 2x4 that came from the lumber store. I stood it next to him. I grabbed a tape measure, measured him, and made a mark on the stick and had him autograph it. Vern Troyer. So I have that. And then I went ahead and went on to doing that for all these tall artists, not just regular ones, but, all these artists that were super tall. But I have the original Vern Troyer stick. He died at 59, or he died at 49. He would have been 57 today if he had lived. He was just, he was from Sturgis, Michigan, I believe. So he was a huge Michigan fan. He drove on like one of those little scooters because him walking, his little legs were so short that it was like a dachshund, because he was like teeny little legs. So he definitely needed like a little like, one of those little scooter things. And it was totally dressed out in Michigan garb. So he was all about Michigan and hating on Ohio State, which was kind of funny too. I thought. I found that to be amusing. Again, that was just me personally. I found that amusing. Let's see, who did we lose today? Cesar Romero died today. He died in 1994 at the age of 86. Cesar Romero was the original Joker in the Batman TV series. So if you Google Cesar Romero, he was the guy that was the original Joker. And that was the whole impetus for what the Joker looked like through all the different alliterations over the years. Cesar Romero did it. But yeah, he passed away on January the 1st of 1994 at the age of 86. Also, Ray Walston died today at the age of 86 in 2001. Ray Walston was Mr. Hand at Fast Times on Ridgemont High, because like if I'm here and you're here, isn't that our time? All right, Spicoli. Dude, my dad's got an awesome set of tools. And we're talking about Hank Williams. He died in 1953 at the age of 29, basically from drinking and drugs, like of epic proportions. Epic proportions. I did a little reading on that, and it was not like he, drank. And the guy was doing fucking heroin and drinking and narcotics and you name it for like a couple of years leading to his death. Crazy. Didn't he have, I believe so. Yes, I think so. He did have some with Amish. And then only last year at the age of 73, Wayne Osmond of the Osmond clan died. I share a birthday with Donny Osmond, of all people. The Mormons. So not Mormon. So not Mormon. That's just me, just saying. I'm definitely not on the Mormon side. Oh, shit. Just saying. So at some point in the not so very distant future, I think I'm going to start doing a Crazy Horses. Yeah. I think I'm going to start doing some Mr. Hand. Exactly. Mr. Hand. I love Mr. Hand. Oh, man. So I've still got a bunch of shit at the radio station that is just stuff that I don't know if I'm going to sell or just give stuff away. So I might have to start just have a yard sale of some sort in the not so distant future, because I still have the property. I still got the building. I still have all this shit. And at some point I need to find a way to get rid of this shit as opposed to just throwing it in a dumpster. So I'll keep you guys posted. But, you know, something here in the not so distant future, I think I might just have just alert people they can come out and just grab some stuff for very inexpensive donation, you know, whatever. And we'll figure it out. Figure it out together. Figure it out together. That's all I can say. That's how I'm figuring it out here. Trying to figure out what we can do to find homes for some of this stuff, because I don't want it to go unloved. That would be sad. We don't want stuff to go unloved, right? So anyone make resolutions, New Year's resolutions? Yeah, you're not getting a gold record. Come on. I have them, but I have to sell those. They're expensive as hell. Come on, Nostradamus. Did everyone make any good resolutions? I didn't make a resolution. I resolved to continue living the best life I can. How's that? At whatever that means. I'm not sure how that works, but I'll try my best. I will try my best, I promise. I will let you know. I will reach out to me through just send me like a Facebook request or something, and I'll just send me a Facebook request, like go ahead and try and friend me or something or whatever, and just send me like a DM, and I'll get in touch with you that way. I'll let you know what we got going on. Sound like a good plan? Do that. Yeah, you can always just DM me. You know, you can just send me stuff on Facebook or wherever. You can send it to the real me. I'm on Facebook. You can just, I haven't posted much. I just have not, I've stayed away from that for a while. Just too much crazy shit. But yeah, you can find me. I'm just under Randy Malloy. So you can just look for Randy Malloy, you know, spelled like it is. It's not an easy thing. It's a beautiful thing, you know. But yeah, we can work on getting you a gold record. Like I said, I've got a few left that I'm going to wind up selling. But yeah, so at some point I have to just get rid of the rest of the stuff. I have so much stuff. 10,000 square feet of radio station memorabilia and crap, man. It's just crazy shit. I'm telling you. It's nuts. It's nuts. So yeah, so any other resolutions? Anybody over there? You got a resolution? Anything good? You know? What up, homie? Axe makes. Yeah, any good resolutions? No, nothing. Like I said, I just resolved to kick ass and, you know, give no fucks. Not that I really have in the past. I'm just going to continue that trend. I am going to have my store up, though. So you will be able to get, you know, Ransanity shirts, just like that one, see? Ransanity, trademark and everything. And then I do have some other ones, too. So, you know, I'll have to get a way. I'll have to post that. I think I can post the URL in comments. It's just Ransanities of all things. I know, what a fun play on words. Ransanities. You know, that's the good stuff, ladies and gentlemen. All right. So, what's it? Almost midnight again? I feel like I was just here last night doing this, but I was counting down. Yeah. Ransanities. Yes, yeah. I think that's spelled correctly. Ransanities. Ransanities.com. I believe. I'm almost sure that's what will show up. I could be mistaken. I doubt it. Yes, ransanities.com. Ransanities.com. I will find the URL and I will post it. I will save it so I can post that. But yeah, that's about it. I think it's about time for people to go to bed. Unless you have some pressing question you want to ask about the radio industry, about me, or anything else subsequent. Um, you know, I'm gonna let all you fine humans go live your lives. I truly appreciate it, and I'm grateful for every time someone comes and says hello. Um, and stops in and stays. That's always lovely to know that, I'm just not talking to myself. Because I do sometimes just talk to myself. I read somewhere that people that talk to themselves are healthier. It doesn't say mentally, but physically. Which I was like, really? Why would we be healthier if we're talking to ourselves? I'm not sure how that works. But don't forget, hit like, subscribe, follow, put in your notifications, like all those things. You have to do all that stuff. Yeah, that's it. Sweet. All right. Yeah. Ransanities.com. Right. So you just see some of the crazy shit that I come up with for t-shirts. I have all of those t-shirts and I wear all of them all the time. But I always wear this shirt, the Ransanity shirt. Is it blurry? Is that image blurry? Do I need to work on the focus? Can't tell. My eyes suck. Better? Worse? I don't know. I have to work on that. Yeah, my eyes suck from reading computers too much. You definitely say, don't watch too close to TVs. Yeah, well, I did that, and that's what happens. What am I going to tell you, all right? Let's see. Is that too bright? Do I need to, dim that one a little bit? I think it might be a little too bright. Yeah? Yes, no? Put another filter on that one? I might have to put another filter on that one. Just to tone it down a little bit. So it's like there's a light right here above my head, so you can see how bright it is in my hand. Maybe tone it down just a wee bit, just a smidgen. Why did I stop? Why did I stop? What? What did I stop? I didn't mean to stop. What did I stop? I don't know. Did I stop something? Cataract surgery. Ugh, that's no bueno. That's not good. Why did I stop? Obi, what are you asking? What did I stop? Stop what? Stop moving? Stop breathing? Stop drinking? Stop acting? Stop talking? What? What did I stop? Rebuild! Rebuild! Mm-hmm. Sounds like a great plan. I'll just scrape up those millions of dollars and I'll rebuild. All right, so I'm going to depart. Let everybody go. Thank you. Appreciate you. Grateful for everyone to be here. Happy New Year. Happy 2026. Genuinely. I hope everyone has an amazing first day and first weekend of the year. Again, try and do something randomly nice for someone for no return on your investment. Okay? No return on your investment. Just because. That's we need to spread a little more positivity this year. I talked about last year that I don't carry a lot of hate with me, so I try and remove that from my soul. So if anything, my resolution is to hate less because it's so toxic and it's so unwell for us. It does not help us whatsoever. So, all right, that's my wish. Love you, Randy. Happy New Year. Love you guys too so much. You don't even know. Greatly appreciate it. With that note, I will step back. I will change cameras so I can look at this one, and I will say goodnight and fade to black. Boop, boop, boop. Oh, man, that was a good show. Lots of beautiful people. I love it. Love it, love it, love it. Love it, love it, love it. Thank you all for being here. So wonderful. Outstanding.